In the history of world music, there are few artists who have maintained such purity and propriety as Sir Cliff Richard. He is often dubbed the United Kingdom's answer to Elvis Presley, a pop icon with a radiant smile and the refined demeanor of a true gentleman. For more than half a century, Cliff Richard has not merely been a star. He has been part of the very fabric of British culture, the only artist in history to achieve the remarkable feat of having albums reach the top 5 of the charts across 8 consecutive decades. However, behind that unprecedented legacy lies a reality few people know. While the world sees him as a symbol of success and fulfillment, Cliff Richard has lived a double life filled with pressure. On one side is the dazzling spotlight of the stage, and on the other is a private life surrounded by secrets, loneliness, and psychological burdens that he has carried alone for more than 30 years. The world only sees a radiant Cliff Richard, but it has never seen a man who has had to push himself to exhaustion to maintain a flawless mask before the public. In the summer of 2014, a true earthquake struck, plunging Sir Cliff Richard's once peaceful life into darkness. While enjoying a holiday in Portugal, the Night of Music was horrified to watch on television the most terrifying scene of his life: police raiding his private residence in Berkshire. What made it even more cruel was that the entire operation was broadcast live by the BBC from a helicopter hovering overhead, exposing his privacy before millions of viewers as if it were the capture of a dangerous criminal. The reason behind the raid was an anonymous allegation of historical child sexual abuse. For a man who had devoted his life to integrity, who regarded faith and morality as his guiding principles, such an accusation was nothing less than a death sentence for his soul. His reputation hung in the balance for nearly 2 years under the toxic suspicion of public opinion. He described the feeling as contamination, not just his home being disturbed, but the sense that he himself had been stained by malicious rumors that could never be fully cleansed. His health deteriorated rapidly under the crushing pressure. Cliff suffered severe stress, chronic insomnia, and alarming weight loss. There were nights when he lay in the darkness, listening to his racing heartbeat and fearing it might stop at any moment because it could no longer endure the strain. He felt like an animal cornered, judged by the entire world without any evidence or verdict. In 2018, justice finally prevailed when Cliff Richard was fully exonerated and achieved a historic legal victory against the BBC. Yet, that victory carried a bitter taste of loss. Despite winning the case and receiving an apology, Cliff understood deep down that the emotional wound would never fully heal. He admitted with pain that once a name has been dragged through the mud on live television, it can never be entirely clean again in the public eye. A part of the cheerful, radiant Cliff Richard died forever that summer, leaving behind a soul marked by scars of betrayal and injustice that he could never forget. To understand how a man could endure such devastating storms, one must look back to where he began, a journey far from the glamorous image people usually see. Sir Cliff Richard, born Harry Roger Webb, came into the world in India in 1940. His childhood was abruptly disrupted when his family was forced to leave everything behind and return to England with nothing. From a life of relative comfort, he grew up in cramped government housing, where hardship forged a steel-like resilience beneath his gentle smile. Yet his deepest wounds did not come from poverty, but from loss. At 16, just after saving enough to buy his son his first guitar, the instrument that would change music history, Cliff's father passed away. That sudden loss left a void that could never be filled and forced Cliff to become the family's pillar while still very young. He learned to suppress his personal grief and step onto the stage, performing lively songs while carrying sorrow within. The pain did not end there. For more than a decade, Cliff quietly watched his beloved mother lose her memory to Alzheimer's disease. Seeing the woman who once protected him gradually fail to recognize her own son was a slow and devastating form of emotional torture that he endured away from the public eye. He spent some of the brightest years of his career caring for her in silence, never complaining to the media. Tragedy continued when in 2016, just as he was declared innocent after the scandal, his sister Donna passed away suddenly due to infection. Cliff did not have a single day to celebrate his freedom, as the price of his vindication was yet another permanent farewell. These family losses came in waves, prompting the question, behind the glamour of an A-list star, how many tears did Cliff Richard shed in the darkness to maintain his composure and grace before the world? In his fiery youth, when Cliff Richard's name was becoming a global sensation, few could have imagined that the young Harry Webb was about to make a decision that would completely alter his destiny. In 1958, the hit Move It exploded like a thunderclap, marking the birth of British rock and roll. At that time, Cliff was the embodiment of rebellion, freedom, and the dream idol of millions of young women. Yet at the height of fame and fortune, at the age of 24, when most stars were immersed in extravagant parties and overwhelming adoration, Cliff Richard made a shocking decision that stunned the entertainment world. He publicly declared himself a committed Christian. In an environment dominated by the sex, drugs, and rock and roll culture, a top star choosing a life of purity, restraint, and faith was seen as professional suicide. Many predicted that his career would end right then and there. But they were wrong. Cliff Richard not only survived, but shone even more brilliantly precisely because of that steadfastness. He accepted a change in lifestyle, rejecting superficial temptations in order to preserve the integrity of his soul. This rare perseverance allowed him to become a truly unique entity in the music world, an artist who could perform vibrant pop songs while maintaining the dignity of a devout believer. More than 6 decades have passed, and while countless young talents have come and gone, Cliff Richard has remained, resiliently reinventing himself through each era. He has not only battled shifting musical tastes, but also fought against age-related prejudice. For Cliff, a career is not merely about gold records or titles, but a journey to prove that an artist can endure and achieve lasting success without having to trade their soul or morals for the darker side of fame. For decades, the public has continued to question the private life of this knight of music. Why would a charming, wealthy, and courteous man like Cliff Richard choose to remain single for life? The classic song Bachelor Boy is not just a hit, but seems almost like a prophecy fulfilled in his own life. Cliff spent his youth singing about love, yet ironically, he himself never built a complete family in the traditional sense. Cliff once shared a painful truth. The price of devotion to fame is the sacrifice of personal happiness. For him, the constant touring, the flashes of paparazzi cameras, and the overwhelming expectations from fans made maintaining a marriage nearly impossible. He feared he could never be a good husband when his heart and time had already married music. There were women who passed through his life. There were proposals that nearly came to be spoken. But in the end, Cliff chose to step back, accepting solitude to protect both his career and the peace of those he loved. In his large yet quiet home, the one person who has been closest to and understood Cliff for more than 30 years is Bill Latham, his friend and former manager. They have lived under the same roof, sharing both the joy of triumph and the bitterness of the 2014 scandal. For Cliff, Bill is not merely a colleague, but the only true family he can fully trust in a world filled with betrayal. This unusual yet enduring bond has been the anchor that has kept him from collapsing under the storms of public scrutiny. Yet loneliness in later life remains a lingering shadow. As those closest to him gradually pass away, Cliff Richard has admitted with emotion that he deeply fears the silence of the night. There are evenings when the legendary artist leaves every light in his home turned on, simply to feel less alone, to push away the sense of being a solitary point in the vast universe. Behind the proud title of Bachelor Boy on stage stands an 85-year-old man, still learning each day how to face the unsettling silence of a home without the laughter of children or the warmth of a life partner. After enduring such devastating storms, Sir Cliff Richard has now chosen to live like a voluntary exile on the beautiful island of Barbados. His decision to leave England, the place that brought him to the height of glory but also trampled his reputation in 2014, is not an act of cowardly escape. It is liberation. Amid the palm trees and the gentle sound of Caribbean waves, the aging artist has finally found freedom, a place where he can walk without feeling the constant gaze of suspicion and judgment behind him. At the age of 85, when standing before the mirror, Cliff Richard no longer avoids the wrinkles or the thinning hair shaped by time. He faces the finiteness of life with remarkable courage. Though his legs grow tired, though his voice sometimes carries the broken breath of age, when he steps onto the stage of the Can't Stop Me Now tour, he still burns with a passion as if he had never parted from music. Audiences watch him sing, watch him dance, and they weep. They do not cry out of pity, but out of admiration for a spirit of steel that refuses to yield to the cruelty of fate. However, in his quietest moments, the Knight of Music cannot help but reflect on a profound question of his life. In building an extraordinary career spanning 8 decades, in striving to maintain an image of near perfection, did he inadvertently lose something irreplaceable? Perhaps it was the warmth of a small family, or the simple moments of being able to live authentically with his own vulnerabilities without having to uphold the image of a knight before the public. The legacy Cliff Richard leaves behind is not only platinum records or unprecedented achievements. It is a lesson in kindness and perseverance. He has lived a life of restraint in order to bring joy to millions. When the final stage lights fade, Sir Cliff Richard will be remembered not only as a legendary pop star, but as a man who walked through darkness and still preserved his radiant smile and kind heart, even though that heart carries scars that will never fully heal. Sir Cliff Richard has dedicated his entire life to music and the public. Behind that radiant smile are scars of injustice, family loss, and long nights of enduring solitude. He chose to live a double life, so that we could always admire a perfect knight. Which of his songs do you love the most? Or do you feel a sense of sorrow for what he has endured? Please leave your wishes for Sir Cliff's health in the comments below. Do not forget to like and subscribe so we can continue preserving the memories of immortal legends. Thank you for listening.